Hall of Fame, the induction ceremonies, and now we're going to head courtside where Tom Gullickson, former U.S. Davis Cup captain, will introduce Jim Courier.
Thank you, Bud. I used to be 6'4", but now I'm only 5'11". But I thought I was 6'4". It's great to be back in Newport. A lot of great memories here, a lot of good friends, and I see a lot of good friends today, so it's always a pleasure being back here. You know, every great tennis player, when they're growing up in the game, starts with a dream. And Jim Courier had a dream. He was sitting at the Bolletary Academy down in Bradenton, Florida, with his good buddies Mark Knowles, Chris Gardner, and David Cass. And they were watching the men's singles final at the French Open. And he said something that not many Americans really think about. I'm going to win the French Open someday. And it came true twice. A lot of people have big dreams in the game, but very few people have the, single-minded focus, the work ethic, the determination and the perseverance to make those dreams come true. And Jim Courier certainly had all those qualities in abundance. Jim went on in the early 90s to be the single most dominant player in the game. His big first serve and inside-out forehand were his signature shots, and he brought fitness to a whole different level. I can remember being over at the French Open a couple times with Jim, and after he defeated an opponent in 4 sets, his opponent would be in the locker room, sitting on the bench, sweaty, tired. Jim would strap on the running shoes, go across the street, take a run in the park, come back, grab his racket, and go hit some balls with Jose Aguirre. And the guy's got to be thinking, didn't I give you a workout? And that was Jim Courier. There's a lot of words you could use to describe Jim, but certainly loyalty comes to mind. My first year as Davis Cup captain was 1994. Our very first match, we played India on this very grass surface in New Delhi. And, sometimes our players were a little bit difficult to convince to play those foreign matches. My first call was to my good friend Jimbo. I said, JC, we play India in New Delhi on grass. What do you think? And his first statement was, Gully, who else are we going to go with us? So Jim, that really sums up his commitment to Davis Cup. He was an amazing Davis Cup player. He clinched the deciding match for me as captain 6 matches out of 13 times. So Jim, unbelievable effort. Jim loved the team format, the camaraderie of Davis Cup, and it was great for me as a coach because I didn't have to get on the practice partners much. When Jim was doing his beloved 2-on-1 drills, if a couple of the guys missed a few balls or if they were a little bit lax, Courier would jump all over him and they would snap to attention. So I didn't have to do a lot of coaching when Jim was on the team. After he retired from tennis, Jim didn't exactly, leave a lot of grass growing underneath his feet. He continued to contribute to the game. He immediately was hired by the USTA to be the Davis Cup coach, and he was a great role model, a great mentor, and a great example for our young Americans like Roddick, Fish, Blake, Dent, and Ginepri, and he did a terrific job in that role for 2 years. And in my very biased opinion, I think he's probably one of the premier TV commentators in the game because he just doesn't tell you what happened on the court. He's telling you what the players are feeling and what the players are thinking. So Jim has got some tremendous insights into the game. As a golfer, he's a 2 handicap from the tips. As a skier, like he told me at the top of Vail Mountain one time, I said, Jim, what kind of skier are you? He said, Gully, I like to go fast. I said, okay, let's go. I'll try to follow you. As a musician, he's certainly no Yannick Noah. By his own admission, he's in the futures level as a musician, but he's a drummer, he's a guitar player, he's a singer, and he's talented enough to compose and produce his own CD, so that's not bad. He's also been very philanthropic. He established his own foundation, Courier's Kids, which helps disadvantaged kids in the Tampa area. He's on the board of the Tim and Tom Gullickson, and he does a tremendous job, at all our events. And he's also had time to start his own company, funny enough, Inside Out Enterprises, a little play on tennis words there. So other than that, folks, he really doesn't have much going on right now. So I'd like to, I'm pleased, proud, and honored to present you a great champion on and off the court, your next Hall of Famer, and my great friend, Jim Courier.
Jim Courier. I know. Well, thank you, Tom, for the generous words. Tom Gullickson's been a friend and mentor and a coach of mine for half of my life, and I'm proud to call him my friend and to be on the court with him today. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the great members of the committee of the Hall for allowing me this honor to be here today and to be in the Hall of Fame. This was something that my family and I will be able to enjoy over time, and I really appreciate the honor. Thank you so much. I'm going to go a little faster because they just tell me in my ear I've got about 4 minutes to go, and I do TV, so I know that. I know what's going on. I'd like to congratulate Yana and Butch and Yannick for their position in the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved all. Very privileged to go in with the great class of 2005, something I certainly won't forget. You're forced to reflect when you come into a situation like this on where you are and how you got here. And I've been really lucky in my life. I've got to find my passion very early in my life and pursue it with abandon, with no restrictions. And Yannick hit the nail on the head. He took sort of the wind out of my sails, but we feel the same thing. People ask me, what kind of sacrifices did you have to make? What was it like giving up your childhood? I didn't give up my childhood. I got to do everything that I wanted to do as a result of following tennis. My parents, my sister, my brother, on the other hand, those were the sacrifices. The weekends, 3 weekends out of 4, my parents, working parents, both packed up a car and away we went. My sister, whether she liked it or not, she was in the car with us. My poor brother, getting his diapers changed in the middle of the highway going to the next tournament as he was going. Those were the sacrifices. They're great memories from those sacrifices. I hate country music, probably because my dad would take me to tournaments on Monday when I was in the finals and play those 8-track tapes of Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, and those are great memories, but I somehow still hate country music, but I love those times. My mom, where I get my preparation and my discipline from. You want a list made, check with Linda. If I had an 8 a.m. match, I'm telling you, it's 6 a.m. on the dot. Raisin bran, sliced bananas, skim milk would show up wherever I was sleeping. I would eat it. I would not be happy about it. I would go back to sleep for another 30 minutes when she would get me up, and then we would go and she would feed balls to me and warm me up. I hate Raisin Bran to this day. Love those times, though. There's some forks in the road that you take as a tennis player, many forks. I've been given great opportunities. There's so many people here, and I'd love to give you a dissertation on all of them, but I'm only going to be able to mention just a few forks in the road that have gotten me to where I am. When I was 11 or 12 years old, I went to Harry Hopman's Tennis Academy, and my mom asked if I could come back and come back for free. And Harry Hopman and his wife, Lucy, allowed me that privilege to go and play. Because in Dade City, Florida, where I'm from, there just aren't that many good tennis players. There never were, and there probably won't be too many coming forward. Hopefully there will be, but I was able to go to Harry Hopman's and participate with some of the best juniors in the world and watch some of the best pros in the world. And that was a prelude to a few years later when I received a phone call from Nick Bollettieri. And Nick, who's here today, hi Nick. Nick changed my life, undoubtedly. Nick's changed a lot of people's lives, and none more than mine, because Nick gave me an opportunity to go away from home, which was a huge sacrifice that my parents were willing to allow me to do. It was everything that I wanted to do, but he opened up the door for me, and he let me come down on a scholarship and be coached by the best people in the world, play with the best players in the world, be in the right venue to grow my tennis game and take it as far as it could go. And I had no illusions of standing in front of you here today when Nick called me. It was just about trying to become the best tennis player that I can be. Nick Bollettieri allowed me the opportunity, and I'll never be able to thank him enough, but I'm so pleased he could be here through his busy schedule today. And great people I met at Bollettieri's. Dr. Jim Courier, who has been a friend ever since, he's here today. The U.S. Tennis Association took me on the road when I was 14, 15, 16 years old to Japan and to Italy and to France and to England, and opened up that world to me and gave me great times with their coaches, with Nick Saviano, Tom Gullickson. That's where I first met Tom when he was working with the USTA. Jose Higueras, Brad Stein. I could go down a list for people that really pointed my ship in the right direction, and I can, again, not thank them enough. But I'm going to try by continuing to give back in this great game of tennis to do so. I was really lucky to put together sort of my dream team in my early 20s for my team around me, and I had Jose Higueras and Brad Stein and Pat Etcheberry really take me from a player who was a talented player and turned me into a world-class athlete and a world-class tennis player who understood what these lines meant, other than just an opportunity to hit the ball, but actually see the court in a different way. Changed my life. I've got a lot of things in here I'd like to tell you, but I think the one thing that I'll have to sum up here as we run out of time is, I've had incredible highs. I've had agonizing lows in this game of tennis, but I've always been alive. Tennis allows you to feel things on a daily basis that in the business world and the real world probably just aren't as possible. And I'm so grateful that I've had that ability to feel in my life. We get one turn through this. I feel very fortunate. The friendships that I have made throughout the world and that I keep, they're all through tennis. I'm going to read something that I wrote because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember it on the cuff, and I really wanted to say it exactly the way I was feeling it, and I feel it now, and that is, what I have lived is more than I could ever have hoped for, because so many people have nurtured me, they've guided me, befriended me, pushed me, calmed me, challenged me, encouraged me, and most of all, believed in me, and so many of them are here today. I'm thankful for that. Some can't be here, which is a shame, but that is, some are gone and some are just not able to be here. But from the deepest place in my heart, there's a big thank you for everyone who's touched me. Thank you, bud.
Here it is, Jim. You are in the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And I want you to join Buckles.
The great Jim Courier. A great speech by him. We'll be back right after this.